What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And this week it is episode 275, and it's one of our revisited episode, world-renowned revisited episodes. May or may not be world-renowned. Every couple of months, we take another look at a game we covered way back in the baby days of Remember the Game when I sucked even worse at this job than I do now. And I really enjoy doing these episodes because we covered some of the greatest games ever made in the first, say, 50 episodes of Remember the Game when we were still trying to figure out what the show was going to be. And these are almost like the remasters, if you will. So I like doing these episodes. And I'm sure, as you can tell by the music and the title of the episode and everything like that, this week we're taking another look at Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island for the Super Nintendo. I have to say, it makes me feel old that so many of you didn't even know that this was a Super Nintendo game. You had played, I think it was the GBA port, but I had so many people reach out and be like, I didn't even know this was a Super Nintendo game. Yes, god damn it. It launched on the Super Nintendo, and it was spectacular. I love this game. I really only have I have one complaint. There's two major complaints I see most of the time online. Number one, I hate that it's called Super Mario World 2. Most of you do as well, which we'll get into more on the podcast. I will say I think it was necessary to help sell copies of this game, and unlike that piece of shit Mario is Missing, which bastardized Mario's name in a way I'll never fully forgive Nintendo for, at least this time around, Mario's name was used to get players to play a good game. I don't know if this sells as well if it's just called Yoshi's Island. So I don't know. Anyways, it's one of the best platformers, not only on the SNES, but of all time, in my opinion. So I think that's great. And I think it's a real tip of the cap to how good this game is, that the only real things I hear people complain about are the title, and one of the sound effects, that being Baby Mario's crying noises, which I will say, yeah, sure, they're kind of annoying, but I don't think it's even half as bad as some people make it out to be. And even if those two things bother you, the title and the sound effects, the graphics, the music, the gameplay, the bosses, the level design, all superb. And unlike most Yoshi games, this one is not laughably, boringly easy, especially if you're trying to 100% it. Fuck, I love this game. Joining me via the old blank phone this week for a look back at Yoshi's Island is the Yoshi to my Baby Mario, my pal, co-host on Purple Monkey Dishwasher, and pending Remember the Game Hall of Famer. There's a lot of paperwork. Mark McCue. I replayed Yoshi's Island a few weeks ago to get ready for the show, as did Mark. I'm genuinely shocked at how well it holds up. This game is so fucking good. I'm really stoked to get into it, and we'll do all that in just a minute, because speaking of so fucking good, it's time for another edition of the Remember the Game infamous intro. Dun, 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 dun. If you're new to the podcast, welcome aboard, and consider this your warning. Our intros are kind of long, but they're fun. We talk video games and stuff like that. I recommend giving them a chance. And there's no crying. So, well, occasionally there is, but I'll hold it together this week. So if you do want to skip the intro, you just want Yoshi's Island talk, go to about the 30-minute mark, but I recommend giving it a chance. We're going to talk video games and stuff. I do have to do my plugs one time, keep the bills on. Let's do this thing. We have merchandise, all kinds of shit, hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, posters, rocking sick art, really fucking awesome art. We have like tributes to the Dreamcast over there. We've got the Console Wars shirt. We got video game mashups. We've got our Saturnian World Order shirt. There's actually some Remember the Game merchandise too. It's awesome. All drawn by my man Joe from 4545creative.com. You can check out our merch at rememberthegamepodcast.com if you are interested. And of course, if you don't like clothes, you can always hit us up over on Patreon. It's about the best deal in the history of the internet. We offer 4 ad-free podcasts every week. Monday, Mark McCue and I talk Simpsons on Purple Monkey Dishwasher. Tuesday, I talk whatever the fuck I want with the Rambling Idiot. I talk comedy, sports, not video games. Man, I suck at this job. Comedy, sports, movie, TV, whatever I want. I did get into Survivor Series and the return of CM Punk over there this week. Every Friday, it's Game Patch, which I talk where I cover all the modern gaming news and give you my thoughts on the biggest stories in gaming, new releases, etc. And Expansion Pass drops every Thursday. It's a different show each week. We do game rankings. We look back at characters, consoles. There's some comedy episodes, a fucking ton of modern game reviews. This past week, it was Expansion Pass 187, and I tackled a topic that people have been asking for a while now, my backlog from hell. Consisted of sponsored episodes and Patreon poll winners, and it's very close to empty, meaning next year I can start tackling my personal backlog of games that I want to cover on Remember the Game. So that's what I talked about on Expansion Pass. I counted down 15 games that I want to cover on Remember the Game next year. And as is becoming tradition, here is a sneak peek of last week's episode of Expansion Pass, 15 games I want to cover on Remember the Game in 2024. Listen to these honorable mentions. These were games that I'm very interested in covering that couldn't crack the top 15. These are in no particular order. Road Rash, and I don't know which iteration yet. The only one I've really played is actually the Panasonic 3DO Road Rash, but at some point, I'd really like to do a Road Rash episode of the show. Spyro 3, of course. I've loved Spyro 1 and 2. We got to get to Spyro 3. This one might shock a few people, but Final Fantasy 13. I know a ton of people hate that game, but a lot of people hate Final Fantasy 8, and I thought Final Fantasy 8 was dope. Fuck you. So I'm saying fuck you a lot lately. I think it's from playing Stick of Truth. I have that in my mind now. So I'd like to review Final Fantasy 13 just to see if it's as bad as everybody says it is. So that's definitely on my list. Mega Man Battle Network, I have not hidden there. So I guess there is some Mega Man on the list. Didn't make my top 15, but I've always wanted to play them. The only thing stopping me from playing Mega Man Battle Network right now is the fact that it won't go for more than that new collection they just released won't go cheaper than 25% off, and I don't want to pay full price because I don't know if I'm going to like them or not because I've never played them. That's now available in our archives, and this week it's Expansion Pass 188, and being the last episode of the month, our topic was up to our Patreons, and the games that changed gaming ran away with the poll, which should be a good time, because I can think of a few right off the top of my head. And the thing about that is, I don't think a game has to be an all-time great to be all-time influential, and we're going to show some of those games some love on Expansion Pass tomorrow. So, again, subscriptions start at $3 a month to get new shows every week, instant access to literally hundreds of ad-free archive bonus podcasts downloaded right onto your phone. You actually can put the entire Patreon catalog on Spotify now, which is so much easier than listening to it on Patreon. Not only that, but you also get access to the Remember the Game Discord. You get the chance to vote in our Patreon polls every month. You get the ability to submit comments on all of our shows. You can DM with me, and you even get a shout-out and get to hear me mispronounce your name like I'm about to do to most of these people. A huge thank you to our newest Patreons. Huge ass. I like that. Kevin Kixildwin. Sorry, Kevin. I'm sure I ruined that. Crazy Kyle J. Leon Yaxley. Adam's new personal assistant. You poor bastard. Melvin Murray. Maxim Jaff. Evan. William Chamberlain. Phenomeron. That's clever. And Catlin Tuck. I think actually I did most of those pretty decent. Thank you all so much for the support, and welcome to Remember the Game Industries. You can check that out at patreon.com/rememberthegame. Don't forget, 5% of our Patreon income gets donated to charity, and we offer annual subs. That'll save you your 12th month's fees. And finally, check me out over on Twitch if you want to, twitch.tv/rememberthegame. I'm over there playing Super Mario RPG Remake right now. I get on there 2 or 3 days a week. It's free. Just come by and say hi. It's good times. All right? That's enough blowing myself. Let's blow some of you by blowing in some cartridges. It is our opening segment here on the show. I read a few comments and questions from our Patreons, usually gaming related, but not always, and we call this segment Blowing in the Cartridge.
He blows all right. He blows big time.
That's it, honey. Get into the spirit.
Let's blow, and our first blower this week is the Goat Master, who has asked the question that I have been asked very many, many times over the last couple of weeks. Adam, how do you feel about the Super Mario RPG remake? Personally, I'm loving it. I am quite enjoying it as well, Goatmaster. I've been playing the entire game on Twitch. My plan is to upload the entire playthrough to YouTube at some point when it's done. I've played the original Super Mario RPG like 3 trillion times. There's 2 episodes about it in our Remember the Game archives. It's one of my favorite games ever, and I'm really enjoying it. The only complaint I have is I wish they'd included like a hard mode, because it is just, it took an already easy game and made it even easier. but I knew what it was going in. I'm loving it. I'm liking the changes they made. The graphics are awesome. Plays great. I'll do a full review of it on Expansion Pass probably in early December once I'm done it, but it's dope. It's really good. If you're a classic Super Mario RPG fan, I highly recommend it. And I mean, you can wait for a sale if you want, but it's Nintendo. I bet you the best you're going to get is 30% off, and it's probably going to take 6 months to get there because it's Nintendo. But it's a great game. And if you've never played either version of Mario RPG and you like RPGs, just know it's not like the deepest RPG of all time. Pick it up because it's fucking awesome. I'm really enjoying it as well. The Big Deal said, with as much admiration as you have for Yoshi's Island, why don't you show as much love to the other games in the Yoshi series? I personally want to go back. I personally want to go back and give Yoshi 64 a try after enjoying Wooly and Crafted World. But what about you? Is it the lack of Baby Mario that ruins the experience for you? Yes, it is. No, the only other Yoshi game that I think I've played is Yoshi's Crafted World on the Switch, and I thought it was gorgeous to look at and very clever. But it was obnoxiously easy, and I understand the target demographic. Like, I don't even think it's a criticism to talk about how easy it is, because I get that that's the market that they're aiming it toward. It has to be easy. I get that, but it kind of puts it off my radar. Like, I got so bored playing Yoshi's Crafted World that I was like, I can't even do this. This is just, I could sleepwalk through this game. I can't fucking do this. I would like to go back and give Yoshi 64 a shot. Mark talked about that on this episode a little bit, but that's really all it's been. I'm not the world's biggest Yoshi fan, and I just haven't seen another one that people said difficulty-wise stacked up to Yoshi's Island, and that's what I want more of. So it's just, I don't know. I'll get my platforming fixed somewhere else. I don't need to play fucking super easy games with a dinosaur that I don't like. Fuck you, Yoshi. I don't hate Yoshi. For the record, I don't hate him. I just like to give him a hard time. So but that's why. Advanced ATST said, I would like your thoughts on the rewind feature showing up in retro games these days. It has become a hot topic in my house. I say it should never be used, where my son says it should be allowed if you've beaten the game before. What say you? I will say that, like, I don't care if you use, like, if you don't know, I imagine you all know, but like when you're playing like Nintendo Online, for example, every game you're playing on there, you can hold down the triggers and rewind like 20 or 30 seconds. And lots of games are like that now. I do think they make some incredibly difficult retro games, especially NES games, more accessible, not only to new gamers, but even to some of us. Like, there are some old school games that they're doable with that rewind feature. That said, I personally try not to use it, with the one exception being, like, I'm playing Pokemon trading card game right now, and on more than one occasion, I've accidentally, like, I've been mashing A to, like, get through text. I guess I just let the cat out of the bag. Pokemon trading card game is probably going to be next week's episode. So there you go. I hope you're all excited for that. But I'll be, like, mashing A to get through dialogue, and I'll accidentally play a card or something and be like, fuck, that's not what I meant to do. Then I'll rewind it. But, like, I've watched people, DSP, looking at you useless piece of shit on YouTube, that, like, would play, like, Mega Man, and it's just rewind. Every jump he misses, rewind. That bothers me. If you watch my Castlevania playthrough on YouTube, I beat the OG Castlevania without using it, and I wanted to so bad, because that game is fucking tough. So I don't care if you use it, or you being whoever's listening to this, but I personally prefer not to, unless it's just to, like, save me time for making up from a stupid mistake. Because, like, if I fuck up playing a card, I could just, like, reload my file and start again, but I'm like, fuck, it's all gonna be, all it was I accidentally clicked the wrong menu. So I'm fine with it like that. I do think if you're spamming it over and over to get through every jump and everything, it kind of puts a layer of fromage on it that I don't particularly care for. But you do you. I don't really care what people do. Hella Maney said, hey, Adam, with CM Punk returning to WWE, I wanted to sneak a wrestling question in. Whose wrestling theme song do you think is best? I personally feel like Kane had the best fitting theme song, even if it wasn't the best. Kane did have good music, especially the, like, was it Finger 11 that did his later theme? That was fucking pretty tight. True story. I went from loving Triple H to hating Triple H to now I like Triple H again. And I genuinely feel The Game by Motorhead is the greatest entrance theme of all time. I like that song. Fucking makes the hair on your back stand up. That song is sick, and you feel like someone's about to get fucked up. So I'm a big fan of that theme. I also really, actually, as much as I despise Hulk Hogan, Real American's a pretty dope theme. It is. I hate that guy, but that's a pretty good theme. I love the man. I love lots. I love wrestling. My phone is full of wrestling music. those would. I'm gonna, you know what? Because I could just keep going. I'm gonna say just Triple H's "The Game" by Motorhead is the best, greatest of all time. Fucking love that song. Captain Steve N said, "Hi Adam, are you gonna make another Festivus episode of Expansion Pass for the holidays?" Yes. We have done, like, we've dropped stuff like Gamer Confessions and Hot Takes because we just do them so often, and I feel the shark has kind of been jumped. But the annual airing of Gaming Grievances has become a tradition around here at Remember the Game, and we'll be keeping it alive. It'll probably be Thursday, December 21st. It'll be the annual airing of Gaming Grievances because I got a lot of problems with you people, and now you're going to hear about it. I rarely read questions about Patreon on this show. I'm not trying to sneak extra plugs in, but there was a lot of them this week, and I want to just bomb through a few. So yes, we're doing Festivus. Spurgeocalypse said, "Hey mate, I was wondering if you ever thought about doing a Black Friday sale, like cheap annual subs or discount off merch, or is Patreon a pain to do those sorts of discounts?" Patreon is a pain to do fucking everything with. God, that fucking site. That's why I recommend, like, if you're a Patreon and you didn't know, look it up. It's very easy to find. You can take your episodes and listen to them on just about any podcast service you want. Listen there instead of Patreon. It's so much easier. It's very easy to set up, and then it's done, and you can just listen over there. I can't do cheap annual subs. That is a real pain to, like, change it and change it back and stuff like that. That's not, plus, that's not really going to happen. The discounted merch, we do run a sale every summer. And we did look at doing one this year, but, like, for anyone that doesn't know, I use Teespring for my merch because I live in Canada. If I try to ship, it costs me $20 to ship a lanyard from Canada to the United States. So, like, if I was trying to ship a hoodie or a t-shirt or a hat or something, you're going to be paying like $80, $90 to get this shit. And nobody wants to pay that, right? So I use Teespring, who are in the US, and they print shit to order. So if you go on Teespring and buy a Remember the Game t-shirt for, I don't know, I'm just $25, they print it, they take a cut for profit, and then I get whatever's left. And I can price the shirts at whatever I want, and they tell me what I make. But we make very little. Like, to be honest, if you buy a t-shirt off Teespring, I think we get about $4, and then we split that. Me and my artist split everything 50-50. So if I run a sale, like, we usually make about 75 cents each on the t-shirts. So we didn't do that this year. We did look at it, but, like, there's just so little margins in them as it is. I really only launched the merch to try to make myself look like a credible podcast. I'm grateful to those of you that wear it, and I truly think we've got some fucking awesome merch. But there's like no money in it. No fucking money in it. I think if I lived in the States, it might be a little bit different because I could do it myself. But being here in the frozen wasteland of Canada with our worthless dollar, I'm sorry. So that answers your question, I hope. And Works For Me said, Adam, quick question. Is there a way to gift a Patreon sub to friends? Which I have been asked a lot, especially going into Christmas. Don't quote me on this, but I believe you can if you use their email address. So you would sign up, and then you would just sign up with their email address. Gifting Patreon. And I'm sorry, everybody. You know me, right? For those of you that have listened to this for 275 episodes, I never do this kind of stuff, but people have been asking a lot, and I finally decided, you know what, I'm going to answer some questions about this. So there isn't currently a way to gift patronage or give access to certain individuals without payment or for free. But that's for me. So I'm pretty confident that you could, like, enter somebody else's email and sign them up for one. I'm almost positive, but other than that, no, because it's Patreon. Your best bet might just be if you have a friend that wants a Patreon sub, just give them like the $20 or give them the $3 or whatever and be like, go sign up and I covered it for you. That might be the easiest way because, again, Patreon makes everything tough. Okay, so thank you for indulging me. I get asked those questions a lot, and I've been putting them off, and I was like, I'm going to answer them. Now it's done. I did my extra plugs. I'm a greasy businessman. I'm sorry. Let's move on. Before we do, of course, it's letter time. It's letter time. DJ K wrote in and said, "Good day, Adam. Do you believe that Microsoft has dropped the ball with backwards compatibility? A part of the sale of the Series X was being able to play previous gen titles. However, as of now, there's only 55 original titles available on their game store, a decent proportion of them Star Wars titles, with, as far as I can tell, nothing released in the last 2 years. Do you believe this is due to either a narrowed focus on the Activision Blizzard purchase, a changing in the marketing strategy more in line with PlayStation's regarding backwards compatibility, or something's different entirely? Love to know your view. Cheers for all the great weekly content." Thank you, DJK. I don't know if I think Xbox has dropped the ball with backwards compatibility. I think they're doing a decent job. You are right. If you're talking original Xbox, 55 games are available on the Xbox Marketplace. 59 original Xbox discs will play on your Xbox Series X. I do think that's a feather in their cap. You can't use old Nintendo cartridges on the Switch, and outside of the PS4, you can't use old PlayStation discs on the PS5. You can use almost 60 original Xbox games on your Xbox Series X, and you can use 654 Xbox 360 discs on your Xbox Series X. So I do think that maybe they kind of have just let go of the original Xbox. Although I will say, I think most of the games people want from the original Xbox are available on there outside of sports titles, which are just never going to be. But 654 Xbox 360 games is nothing to sneeze at. That said, you're right. They're not really adding much else to it. And I do find that a little bit disappointing because I genuinely feel like the one thing that Xbox arguably does better than PlayStation and Nintendo is embrace backwards compatibility. Right? Like, I know PlayStation's been adding a lot of games to PS Plus, but you still can't download PS3 games. They're hardly giving us PS1 games, and you can't use your old discs. And Nintendo, it's been nice that they've rolled out a lot of the old NES and SNES and 64 and Game Boy Advance games. I actually think they've done a decent job with it. There's still some titles missing, but I think the value for the dollar is there. But Xbox is the only system that's like, hey, you can use a bunch of your old games that you've been collecting for the last 20 years on your modern console. And I really like that. But they have kind of just taken their foot off the gas, and I would like to think they're taking their foot off the gas to make more modern titles, but they're really not doing a great job of releasing modern games. So I don't know if I would say they dropped the ball, but I do think they've kind of just set the ball down and been like, that's good enough. Let's focus on new, which again, I'm all for. If I have to choose between a company focusing on making their old games playable again or making new games, I want new games. It's just Xbox needs to finally start making some fucking new games. Starfield was great. Hi-Fi Rush was awesome, but like, you need more than that. You own every fucking studio under the sun at this point. We need some more games. So I think it's good. And keep in mind that a lot of them are included with Game Pass. I honestly think all three companies are doing a decent job of it. Not great, but good. I do think Xbox is still out in front just because their old games are playable. But I would like to see more as well. I wish my copy of Tiger Woods 12 The Masters was playable. It's never going to happen due to licensing and all that shit. So thank you, DJK. Thank you to everybody that wrote in. We got to keep the ball rolling here. Speaking of dropping a ball. So let's switch things up and get into our Smash Hit segment, the official game show of Remember the Game Industries. It is Play One, Remake One, Erase One. And a huge thank you to Classic Concentration from the NES for unknowingly providing us with the theme music for the show. The rules are simple. Every week I give our patrons 3 retro video games. They can play one as it was released, remake one as a modern game, and the third is erased from time forever. And as always, there are no wrong answers, but there is a right one. We'll get to that in just a minute. This week we're talking one of the SNES's best games in Yoshi's Island. So I went with 3 more of their absolute best games of all time. Super Mario World, Donkey Kong Country, and Super Metroid. I know, it's tough to erase any of them. 35% said play Mario World, remake Donkey Kong Country, erase Super Metroid. And I think erasing any of these is blasphemy, but a lot of you played by the rules this week, and I appreciate that. So let's see what a few of you had to say here, then I'll tell you what the right answer was. Excuse me. Joe Evans said, this poll is tough. All 3 games are a huge part of my childhood. I'll play Donkey Kong Country because I think it holds up very well, even if it does feel cheap at times. I'd remake Super Mario World to make it look like Mario Wonder. The game is perfect otherwise. And lastly, I'd erase Super Metroid. Even though it's a pillar of the Metroidvania genre, it's my least favorite and played of the 3 games. And a lot of people erase Metroid for that reason. I definitely think Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country got played more than Super Metroid. I agree with everything you just said. Minus, I don't know if I feel Donkey Kong Country feels cheap at times. I love that game. But I really don't have a problem with anyone erasing any of these because I know how hard it is to have to erase one of them. Rob Serino said, you, sir, are sadistic. This is torture. I did not know you were so heartless. I'll play Super Metroid because it's damn near perfect. I'd remake Super Mario World because, well, that's almost perfect as well. I'd love to see what they could do with that on next gen. Please call the next system the Super Switch. It's going to be like the Switch V or some shit. Lastly, I'll erase Donkey Kong Country because we have Donkey Kong Country 2, which is arguably better. And I agree with that point. You're going to hear my logic in a minute. I agree with that point to the word, Rob Sereno. Maverick said, this one sucks. Play Super Mario World, remake Super Metroid, or race Donkey Kong Country. Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country both play great even to this day, and at first I thought I'd want to see Super Mario World with Wonder's graphics, but I don't think it would make that huge of a difference considering World already looks great. I'd rather see Super Metroid with Dread's graphics. I hate to erase Donkey Kong Country, but I don't need two platformers, and there's no way Mario's getting scrapped over Kong. I also agree with your logic of putting Super Metroid into Metroid Dread's graphics. You're going to hear me from that in a minute as well. I think, oh God, Metroid Dread is so fucking... If you have not played Metroid Dread on the Switch, that just slapped through the mic. Play that game. It is spectacular. I think it's the best Metroid ever. I fucking love that game. Kevin Kixeldwin, whose name I can't say, said, what a hard first play one, remake one, erase one. I'll play Donkey Kong Country because I don't think I ever fully finished it. I'll remake Super Metroid because it's one of my favorite games of all time. And unfortunately, I'll erase Super Mario World. Please forgive me. I love Mario, but I love Samus more, and I'd like to finish Donkey Kong Country. No qualm with that logic at all. Finish Donkey Kong Country. Finish it, god damn it. Just get to the factory. Factory levels are the best levels in the game. Finish Donkey Kong Country. And Adam's new personal assistant said, play Super Mario World as it's perfect, whether it's your first time or your 100th time. Remake Donkey Kong Country, as I haven't played it, but I was very intrigued by it when I was watching a history of Donkey Kong Country game video and how impactful this game has been on the gaming community. And a remake would revitalize old fans and potentially bring in new ones, like me. Erase Super Metroid. I have no interest with the Metroid series, only when the reveal of Samus, and I have no future plans on playing any Metroid games. Sorry, Samus, as much as I love you, the rules are the rules. And that's, first of all, for the love of fuck, play Donkey Kong Country. Jesus Christ. You're fired as my assistant till you play it. But I do think Metroid's a bit of a niche title, so I understand that. I'm going with the runner-up option this week, 33%, as did Man of War, who said, man, what a tough one, but it's easy all the same. I'll play Super Mario World because it still holds up to this day. I'll remake Super Metroid because that game with the Dread engine would be insane. And I'll erase Donkey Kong Country because although it's great, the other two have a special place in my heart. It's the same order I'd go in. I'd play Super Mario World. And I usually, when it pops up in this game, I erase it because I've played it so many times, but I have other plans this time around. I'm going to remake Super Metroid in that Metroid Dread art style because that'd be fucking incredible. And I'm going to erase Donkey Kong Country because while I absolutely adore that game, Donkey Kong Country 2 is better. And if you want to argue, well, Donkey Kong Country 2 wouldn't exist without Donkey Kong Country 1, it's part of the rules. There is no definitive rule as to what happens when you erase a game. You're taking your chances. I'll take my chances because Donkey Kong Country 2 is better. So, thank you. Everyone that wrote in to play along as always. Let's take a break here. We'll get a quick word in from a sponsor. Then I'll tell you what I've been playing, and we'll fire up some Yoshi's Island. Okay, we'll be right back after this. This is an ad by BetterHelp. A band once said, work sucks, I know. And I think most people agree with them. Workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health, with 61% of the global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress from their jobs. And while walking away from your job might not be an option, taking a little time every day to focus on yourself and your mental health can make a huge difference. I know in the summer I try to get outside every day, get a little bit of sun, and just enjoy the outdoors. It really helps. At least until my allergies attack, and then it's ugly. It's important to take steps to combat work stress, and therapy can be a huge one. It's not just for overcoming trauma. Therapy can help you define work goals, set some work boundaries, develop coping skills. It's like a cheat code for life. And if you're thinking, man, I'm too busy for therapy, well, look into BetterHelp. They make therapy as convenient as possible. You can meet with one of their over 30,000 therapists online and on your schedule, just like over 5 million people around the world already have done. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/rememberthegame. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. We've had some great partners over the years here at Remember the Game, but I don't know if any of them have hit home for me quite like Hometown Hero does. No pun intended. Don't start. It's a transparent, honest cannabis company that helps people and gives back to those that have served their country at the same time. I mean, come on. As soon as I read about these guys, I knew I wanted to work with them. Hometown Hero is a cannabis company out of Austin, Texas, and they were founded back in 2015 by a U.S. veteran. They have two goals: create premium hemp products that can help everyone, and to support veterans by donating a portion of those profits to organizations set up to take care of those who have served. Hometown Hero products are of the highest quality, and everything they offer is made right there in the U.S. of A. Gummies, caramels, chocolates, drink mix, there's something for everyone. everyone. And what's more, their hemp is grown locally in Texas, which is something they should and do take a lot of pride in. And they offer certificates of analysis for everything they sell because they want to be clear that their products are as advertised, both in terms of potency and ingredients. No contaminants, you get what you pay for. Just how they conduct business is enough to get my good eyes' attention, but when you circle back to the fact that the company was founded by a veteran and they put such heavy emphasis on supporting veterans, this isn't just lip service. I'm not reading a script I was given here. I'm proud to have Hometown Hero associated with Remember the Game. Reclaim your evening. Visit hometownhero.com and use code RTG to take 20% off your first purchase. That's hometownhero.com, code RTG for 20% off your first purchase. All right, what have I been playing over the last 7 days? Like I said a minute ago, the cat is out of the bag. I've been playing Pokemon the trading card game on my Nintendo Switch Online for the Game Boy Color. I'd never played it before, be it the video game version or the tabletop version. It took me a little while to understand it, but I for all of you Pokemon fans, do not worry. It's going to be a great review. I don't know as much about it as any of you, so it's probably going to be a basic review, and some of you are going to get mad that I forgot to bring up your favorite card or something, but I fucking love this game. I've been playing it like a fiend for like a week now, and that's almost certainly going to be next week's episode, Pokemon trading card game. It is awesome. I've also been playing Super Mario RPG Remake. I already told you how I feel about that. It's great. I've been playing Callisto Protocol on PS Plus. I was super stoked for that game last year. I held off after the reviews. I started playing it and really liked it, and every time I play it, I like it a little bit less because the combat is so fucking repetitive. It's ridiculous. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to finish it, honestly, Callisto Protocol. And then I've actually been playing EA Sports PGA Tour. I've gone back to playing some golf at night, and I love that game. Fucking best golf game I've played in years. So that's it. Let's talk Yoshi's Island. That's why you're here. As always, I like to let you nerds sound off about the game we're covering before my guest and I hog the microphone. So let's see what a few of you had to say here. The Love Sauce said, this is the grandfather of Super Mario Wonder. I love that Nintendo took such a big chance and made a Mario game that was completely un-Mario. Stunning visuals, iconic music, and great platforming. 10 out of 10. Agreed. This was like the first time, unless you want to count Super Mario Brothers 2, the weird Doki Doki version. This was the first time Nintendo kind of took a chance with Mario outside of the shitty Mario's Missing games and just made like a new platformer. And I agree. I think this led into like Mario Sunshine, Mario Galaxy, Mario Wonder, some of the funky Mario games we've gotten. I think this was the catalyst for all of them. So I agree with you. I agree. John Truckosaurus said, such a great game. I remember renting it, expecting more of a direct sequel to Mario World, and I fired it up to be pleasantly surprised. I fell in love with the art style, the secrets, the collectibles. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that annoying little fucker crying, though. And some dude dunk on it. I don't find the crying that bad. I'm running a poll on Twitter right now. Do you find the crying in Mario or in Yoshi's Island that bad? And right now, 34% say yes, fuck that kid. 41% say it's not that bad. 25% say fuck you line. Sounds about right. Blaine the Hoagie Man said, one of the best games I've ever played on the Super Nintendo that I'd play pretty frequently. The graphics are unique and fun. I love the levels and enemies in this game. Sometimes I'd play it while listening to the Space Jam soundtrack. And what could be more 90s than that? Dude, the Space Jam soundtrack fucking slaps. Space Jam is such a good fucking song. Oh my God. That's a great soundtrack. Matt Taylor. I used to play Final Fantasy VII listening to Offspring's Americana. And now whenever I hear that album, I think of Final Fantasy VII. So I get that. Matt Taylor said, I'm really glad you're doing another episode on this game. One of my all-time favorites. This, along with Donkey Kong Country 2, are the peak of SNES platforming, in my opinion. I'll agree with that. Great graphics, music, controls. Probably my only criticism are the controls when Yoshi turns into a vehicle were a little bit funky. Other than that, it's perfect. Definitely my comfort food. The vehicles fucking suck. Mark and I get into that. The vehicles suck. And Dish said, I just know that I will forever have that damn squeaky noise stuck in my head from the ice stages. It's the exact same sound effect as the mice squeaking, and it drives me up the fucking wall because I always think the mice are coming. Yes, Dish, yes. Fuck that fucking squeaky noise in the ice levels. Oh my God, that's way worse than Mario crying. Fuck you. Anyways, let's talk Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island with my buddy Mark McCue. I'm going to cue up some music. And when it stops, we'll go back to Yoshi's Island, which originally released on the SNES in North America on October 4th of 1995. Enjoy the podcast, everybody. Let's go. All right, so joining me via the blank phone this week to talk Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. I fucking hate that Super Mario World 2 tagline. We'll get into that. Is a good friend of mine. You probably all know him from his, or you may remember him from such podcasts as Purple Monkey Dishwasher and the Majora's Mask episode that I refuse to acknowledge or ever talk about. Or listen, I've never listened to that episode. People reference shit you guys said in that episode. I'm like, I don't even know what they said. I never listened. I trust them.
You were in the
I
room
fucking
when
hate
we
that.
recorded it.
Yeah, well, but I could only hear your half of the conversation. So I assumed whenever you weren't talking, Bradley was, but maybe you were just staring at maybe it's like you were just staring at drywall and it's just Mark McCue talking to himself. It is, in fact, my good friend Mark McCue making a rare Remember the Game appearance, crossing the lines.
I think that we missed a part of my title here, Adam.
I don't believe we did.
Mark, current Hall of Famer McCue.
Mark pending Hall of Famer McCue. We still have to, if you don't know, Mark did get back into the Hall of Fame during my 24-hour stream in November, earlier this month, I guess, because we're still in November, by beating Super Mario World with everyone watching him. And I did tell him we'd let him in, but there's a lot of paperwork. All right, Molly, I don't make the rules. Molly's a stickler. Molly's got books and paperwork and forms that be filled out in triplicate. We still need you to send us a copy of your driver's license and pee in a cup. But we will eventually get you back into the Hall of Fame.
I don't know what the pee in the cup's gonna do. Was I on performance enhancing drugs when I beat that level of Super Mario World? I don't. And if I was, would it really make much of a difference?
If we're putting our cards on the table, I think Molly just wants to sniff it. But I don't know. If you happen to be a new listener, Molly is my dog. It's not like my wife or something. That's my dog. So, well, just because like if someone doesn't know, they're like, what the fuck? He lives with someone that likes to smell pee. I do, but it's
and guaranteed any given episode of this show is the first episode that somebody is listening to.
I know. And truth be told, when I think that ratchets up the pressure every week, then I'm like, this be
there's
the first
somebody
one.
that just is now completely lost. Like, why is he talking about being in the Hall of Fame? Why is his wife sniffing pee?
No. It's if this is your first ever episode and you're not sure about any of this, I can assure you it doesn't get much better. It doesn't get much better.
Kind of what the show is, not gonna lie.
Yeah, absolutely. But we do talk about the games that we covered, that we said we're going to cover at some point, and it is time to talk about it. This is one of our revisited episodes. We originally covered Super Mario World 2. Fuck, I hate saying it. I'm not going to say that anymore. Yoshi's Island.
Super Mario World 2, and we need to.
No,
they can't.
It's not.
We should have never let them get away with calling this Super Mario World 2. Yoshi's Island, perfectly good title for this game.
The only reason that the Super Mario World 2 things I let it slide is because I like this game so much. So I'm like, all right, it's good enough to live up to the name of Mario. Yeah, but it still burns my ass. We originally covered this game back, I don't know, give or take, probably about episode 30. And once every couple of months, we revisited a game from the early days because I thought it wasn't that my guests sucked. I'm not dugging on any of my guests or anything. We didn't know what we were doing back then.
I would argue we don't know the show would last this long.
No fucking idea. And I would argue we still don't really know what we're doing, but I think it's better. So I want to revisit some of these episodes and give them a second chance. So we're talking Yoshi's Island. And right out of the gate, I do want to address that Super Mario World 2 tag. Like we all agree the only reason that it says Super Mario World 2 in small letters on the box is because that helps the sales, right?
Yeah.
That's it. There's no other reason, because it's got nothing to do with the original Super Mario World outside of the fact that Yoshi is in it again. But I think if they had just released it as Yoshi's Island, keep in mind, dude, at this point we had Yoshi's Cookie, which was like a weird Tetris game. We had Yoshi's Safari, which was a shitty Super Scope 6 game. Like we had Yoshi, the puzzle game that I actually quite like. I think maybe they were worried if they put Yoshi's Island without Super Mario World 2 on the cover, that people would have assumed it was like another weird spin-off puzzle game or something, and it wouldn't have done as well as it did. That's my guess.
And I just want to throw it out there. They were not helping themselves with the marketing of this game. When I was young, I wanted this game, and my parents would not buy it for me simply because of the commercial that played on TV advertising this game. Are you familiar with this commercial, Adam?
I got this game for my birthday the year it came out, and the reason I asked for it so much was because of that commercial.
That was a disgusting commercial, and it's why I didn't play it until I was an adult.
And we're talking about the one where the guy is just like eating and
The
eating
guy's
and
eating
eating.
so much that he explodes, and then there's
Yeah.
just gross stuff all over the room after he explodes. It's
Nintendo was in that phase back then. This was the like play it loud phase, remember?
I
And
think they
like
were trying to compete with Sega in edginess, but
100%.
this is Yoshi's Island. I don't know what were they thinking?
I don't know, because I agree with you. They were trying to be like, because at this point, for our younger listeners that weren't around in the mid '90s, like at this point, Sega was like the cool kid, and Nintendo was Nintendo, and they made great games, but they didn't have that cool image, and they were kind of getting into this like gross out phase and play it loud. Remember they had all the Game Boy Colors with the funky ads with like the
Yeah.
tongues and all that kind of stuff.
First, they
And
give it a title that's not anything that is not related to the game. Then they give it a commercial that nobody could possibly like. It's on the cover of all of them. One of the most popular video games of all time. What were you thinking?
Shout out to anyone
Thank
that gets
you.
that
Come again.
reference. That's a great pull. Well done. Now that said, listen, I would have loved an actual Super Mario World 2. Super Mario World is my favorite game of all time. I would have
Yeah,
loved a sequel.
a Super Mario, and I get. Oh, and this year, I would argue we kind of got our Super Mario World 2.
It was as close as we're ever going to get,
I think
with
so.
Mario Wonder. 100%. That said, the reason I let this game slide, and I know I'm opening an old wound here because Mark is the reason Mario is Missing has become such a meme around here. But like, I look at a Mario is Missing and I'm like, you're not worthy of having the Mario name on the box of your fucking game. I played this and I'm like, sure, it's not really Super Mario World 2, but I don't know if this is even a hot take. I don't know if you consider this a hot take or not. I think that this game, whether you want to call it Mario World 2 or Yoshi's Island or whatever the fuck, stacks up against literally any platformer on the Super Nintendo, which are some of the greatest platformers ever made.
I wouldn't argue with that.
Like in some ways, like I can't believe I'm even saying these. In some ways, this is a better game than Super Mario World. I don't like it quite as much, but in some ways, it's better.
That is just not so.
I disagree. I think it looks 10 times better than Super Mario World. I think the music is spectacular. It's more challenging than Super Mario World.
It's a lot more challenging than Super Mario World.
Yeah, like there are aspects of this game that I like better. So, but I don't know, where do we let's just start. You know what? I just mentioned how good it looks. Let's just start there. Is this? I'm kind of putting you on the spot. If you don't have an answer loaded up, it's okay. Is this the best looking game on the Super Nintendo? Might be.
The Super Nintendo in general still looks pretty good.
It does.
I think, because it was the best 2D. It was the best 2D console, and of course, it was followed by the very first 3D consoles. So you look at those early 3D consoles, and they don't hold up as well as the Super Nintendo, because the Super Nintendo or the Sega knew what they were and and were able to provide the best presentation for what they were. I think, and keep in mind that this game came out just at the very end of the Super Nintendo's life.
Yes.
So they had time to tweak that. So maybe this is Super Nintendo in general, I think, looks fantastic. And this is a really good looking game.
Yeah, I've always said, like, I was a Super Nintendo kid growing up, but I've always said, I think the Genesis, I've always been jealous. I'm not a graphics guy most of the time, but I've always, just by and large, thought the Genesis would look better than Super Nintendo. Like, I love the way Sonic games look, Gunstar Heroes, Streets of Rage. Like, there are some games on the Genesis that just fucking pop. And I think that Yoshi's Island goes toe to toe, if not exceeds those games. Like, I think in my opinion, I know some have said they don't feel that they've aged well. I disagree. In my opinion, the only games on the Super Nintendo graphically that stand up to Yoshi's Island are the Donkey Kong Country games.
Donkey Kong Country games are pretty good.
They look brilliant. Like, this game, dude, I was just playing this on a stream a couple hours ago, and someone in my chat was like, this is such a treat to look at. And it's like, it is this, like, Super Mario World's a great looking game, but this game looks like a Saturday morning cartoon. Like, it is so bright.
It really does.
And the backgrounds in this game are so, like, I love how, like, they look like they're so far away, but they look so bright and beautiful and colorful. And sometimes it feels like there's depth to the ground you're walking on, even though there's not, because it's a 2D side scroller. And I love the way everything has that like
they cheat it a
really,
little bit. They cheat it. They sometimes tilt the platform a little bit. So
yeah,
it
but it works.
looks like you're in a three-dimensional space when you're
Totally
still
does.
going back and forth. Yeah.
I love how everything's got like that really thick black outline around it. Like it looks like a it almost looks like a coloring book in a way.
And I think that's probably what they were going for.
Oh yeah, 100% they were. And I
And
just
always been a big strength of Nintendo. They've never had like the most powerful consoles, so they've always had the
no.
most colorful games.
Yeah, and this game is just like I was really I haven't played this game in some time. I played this game like a motherfucker as a kid. We'll get into that, but like replaying it now, I haven't played it in a few years, and I was like, God damn, what a beautiful video game. And it's like some of the levels, it's like it's sunset, and you have that like nice orange glow in the background. And some levels, it's like the middle of the day, and sometimes it's nighttime, and
There's that one
sometimes you're up
really
in like
cool Van
the
Gogh
snow.
level.
The which level?
There's a Van Gogh level
Yeah,
where the
like
backdrop is very clearly supposed to be Van Gogh's Starry Night.
I love it. Like it's just and then I know this is a minor thing. I want to know what you think about this. I like Yoshi is not my favorite character. I love that they have the different colored Yoshis in every level.
I do
Instead of just
too.
playing green Yoshi.
I do too. And I really like Yoshi's solo outing games.
Now I'll ask you, because the only other one I've played is Crafted World on the Switch, which was like beautiful to look at and charming as fuck, but it was
You
almost
never play Yoshi's Island or a Yoshi Story?
I was like, we're covering it. No, I have
Like,
not. No.
really? Okay. Well,
Well,
it's a
it's a
pretty good.
64. I was never a 64 guy.
The one thing that I will say is this game does kind of put into context how limited Yoshi's story was. You'd think that Yoshi's story, they would have put more work into it. They would have had a bigger story, a better presentation. They just don't. It's a
Yeah.
game you can get through in, I don't know, 45 minutes maybe.
That's ridiculous. So it's not like Super Mario 64 was to Super Mario World?
No, it's a
No.
much smaller game than this one.
And
There
that
are alternate paths you can take, but every time you play it, it's still going to be relatively short.
that's one of the things that, like, as we kind of move into the gameplay a little bit, we've mentioned this game looks great. Just quickly too, I love the map, the world screen. I wish it was more of a map you could just move around, but I like that it's like the 6 folders, and then each one's got the 8. I really like the map in this. I just think it looks nice. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, why did they make this game have so much edge and bite to it, difficulty wise? I'm not saying this is like Dark Souls, but this game's, in my opinion, substantially harder than Super Mario World is.
It's way harder than Super Mario World is.
Yeah.
I
Why?
had never beat this game before until yesterday.
Why did they do that with this? And then every Yoshi game after, like, I understand that your clientele, they're like little kids like Yoshi. I get that, but like, does it not just seem odd that this very first Yoshi game was like harder than Mario? And then they were like, all right, well, we'll never do, sure, everybody loves it, and this is like almost universally considered the best Yoshi game, but let's never make another one that's even remotely challenging again.
And that was what
Like,
surprised
why?
me so much about playing this, is because when you asked me, hey, do you want to play Yoshi's Island for the podcast? I was kind of like, oh, I can get through that in an afternoon, probably. Yeah, let's do it. And then cut
No,
to
you
me
cannot.
last night screaming at my TV. My girlfriend was like, are you yelling at me? I was like, no, I swear to God, I'm yelling at the TV.
And like, and the thing about it is, like, if you don't go for the 100%, it still has some bite. If you ratchet this thing up and try to 100% every level, which we'll get to in a little bit, like, I've never 100%ed this game. I think with I can't remember if I've 100% in Mario Sunshine. And outside of Sunshine, this is the only quote unquote Mario game that I have never 100%ed. It is fucking tough, man. Like, and those bonus levels, because if you 100% all 8 world levels in a world, you get access to a 9th bonus world level in the world. Those bonus levels are fucking straight out. They are spawns of Satan. Like, they are hell. They are fucking hard.
I think, and it really shows how Mario games kind of evolved in their approach to difficulty. And I kind of like what they are doing now. Whereas most Mario games are fairly easy, pretty easy to get through, but there
Mhm.
are always optional bonus levels that are very difficult to
Yeah.
give to
Yeah.
fans that want a bit more of a challenge. And I really like that approach to difficulty that came later.
Yeah. Agreed. I like that as well. It just really bothers me that they didn't make it. I'm not saying make Yoshi games hard for like little kids, but like, why not put a hard mode in? Like, I don't buy Yoshi games anymore. And I'm like, dude, if they were like this, I'd be as excited for Yoshi games as I get for a new Mario game. If you just make them, and again, before anybody writes in and they're like, oh, these guys think Yoshi's Island is hard, fucking pussies, get good, derp a derp a derp, like the fucking kids say today. I'm not saying this game is like the hardest fucking game of all time. So derp a derp a derp a fuck yourself. It's a lot more bite than any other Yoshi game. Like I think this is harder than a lot of Mario games.
It's kind of on par with a Donkey Kong game in terms of difficulty.
Yeah, yeah, I would go with that. I think I'd argue Donkey Kong is like a little bit harder, but only to me the thing that makes this one a little easier is the items that you can stock. They can make which we'll get to again too, because they make a big difference. So okay, I guess we should actually get into how the game plays. I don't think we've talked about that. We should actually talk about
Okay.
so if you've never actually played this game, I'm sure someone's gonna write in and explain it to me, but like I don't know where this actually falls in like the timeline of Mario. I assume it's like a prequel to Super Mario World,
I don't
but
think they were thinking that far ahead
I don't either.
because now when you play Mario Kart, Baby Yoshi and Baby Luigi are characters you can play as. So
Yeah, or Baby
maybe
Mario and
this
Baby Luigi.
is
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
this is a younger versions of Mario and Luigi that exist alongside. Maybe this is them as babies. It doesn't really explain, and I'm not losing any sleep over it.
No, me neither. I don't particularly care. I will say, and you said it and kind of got me thinking about it. I will say the biggest knock for me about this game is that it did introduce Baby Mario and Baby Luigi, and it's funny because so many people rag on Mario and the crying sound effect in this game. I don't really mind it in this game. I just hate that he's in like Mario Kart and stuff. Like I hate Baby Mario. I fucking hate him. Every
I'm
time I
not
see him on the track, I will lose. I will lose a Mario Kart race on purpose if it means I can fuck up Baby Mario.
I like this game a lot. I hate Baby Mario, and I kind of don't like this idea where every time you get hit, Baby Mario will fly somewhere out of reach, and you have to get him before Bowser's goons come and take him. That I find very annoying.
See, I didn't see, and that's interesting because I didn't mind that. So if you've never played it, just quickly to set the table, you're basically Baby Mario and Luigi are being carried by a stork, and Kamek shows up and kidnaps Baby Luigi, but Baby Mario falls on Yoshi's Island, and the Yoshis find him, and then they set off with him to find his little brother. So then you're playing through it's 6 worlds with 8 levels each, not counting the bonus worlds, which is what 48. Yes. I'm like, I consider myself pretty good at math. And I'm like, did I just fuck that up? Yes. 48 levels. And basically, you're like Yoshi, unless you fall off of a cliff, like down a hole, or you touch like lava or spikes or something that's a one-hit death, Yoshi has infinite health. Like when enemies touch him, he'll just get bumped back or he'll spin around and fall down and then he'll get back up. But when an enemy touches you, the Baby Mario that's on your back gets trapped in a bubble and starts floating away, and you have a timer that defaults to 10 seconds, and if it falls below 10 seconds and you get Mario back, it'll slowly count back up to 10 seconds and stop. And then you can actually pick up power-ups throughout the game that'll up it to as far as 30 seconds. And as he's floating away, he's screaming, and it's like the infamous sound effect that so many people hate, which I want to talk to you about 2 seconds. Yeah. And you basically have to catch him. You either physically touch him or you hit him with your tongue, because Yoshi's got his tongue. And then it'll pop the bubble and put Baby Mario back on your back. And then you just basically have to beat all these levels without Mario getting caught. Because if the timer hits 0, like you said, Bowser's... what are they? They're like... I don't know what they are. They're not Shy Guys. They're like those
They're
weird crow things with like Shy Guy masks. I don't know what they
Yeah,
are.
you know, I never questioned what they were. They're weird things with masks.
Yeah, so
I
they
bet
a
that
bunch of
there's a
them.
name for them, and I bet that there's some nerd out there that's a bigger Nintendo nerd than us that's like, well, actually, they're called Flippets or whatever they're called.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. They're very creepy. And they like the thing they play the role well. I look at those creatures and I'm like, they kidnap children. Like that, I see it, you know? Like, yeah, for sure. So they come flying in and catch Mario and take off, and then you lose a life, and then you have to start over again. And that's the basic premise of the game. One of the big criticisms on this game, one of the things that a lot of people throw shade at is the Mario crying sound effect. A lot of people I've talked to were like, I won't play that game because of the way the Mario cries. And like it is loud. It's like a classic, like wah, 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 and it's louder than the sound effects in the game. It's louder than the music. It's louder than any of that. But like, I'm curious what you think, because the only time that that sound effect really gets to me is when I'm like when the clock is almost at zero and I'm trying to get to them and enemies keep hitting me and bouncing me back, and
And
it
that's
adds
the
to
thing.
that like
It
that
happens
sense of
so
urgency.
often. It happens so often. It happened to me a few times where I'd get hit by an enemy that would knock me off an edge, and I'd fall like I'd fall all the way down to the bottom of this stage. But Baby Mario is still chilling at the top, and it's kind of like, okay, well, I guess I've lost this round.
Right. I but like does this I don't I'm of the belief, and I've been saying this whole last couple of weeks while I'm playing it. I would not skip this game just because you don't like the Baby Mario crying effect. I don't
No,
think it's that
it
bad.
And I gotta say, it's still a really good game. Still a really good game,
Yeah.
despite the fact that that doesn't the Baby Mario concept kind of annoys me.
Like worst case, turn the sound off. Like I wouldn't recommend it because I think the music in this game is awesome. But
Oh,
turn the
well,
sound
it's
off.
not really the sound that annoys me. It's more the Baby
Like
Mario is always flying slightly out of reach, and if you're surrounded by enemies, it's more of a me being bad at the game thing.
like okay, so like I was gonna ask you that because like I find that to be one of the most refreshing things about this game, because so many platformers, especially Mario games, are when you're small you get hit once and you die. When you're big you get hit twice. When you've got a power, sometimes you get hit, you go back to being big, then you go back to being small, and then you die. I like that they changed the formula up a little bit, and they're like, hey, outside of the one hit obstacles like spikes or lava or falling down holes or shit like that. They're like, take as much of a pounding as you want. Just get to that kid before the timer hits zero. The only time it really frustrates me are there was one level right toward the end of the game where you have to ride on a bunch of moving platforms that are on like wires. And I got hit by an enemy as I was on a platform that was going down. So Mario went up, and I'm like, well, I can't. I have 28 seconds on my timer, but there's literally no way for me to reach him.
Yeah, because I'm going down, he's up
Like
there. I
that
can't.
frustrates me. But I like it when it's in just like a regular left to right platforming level that I can't reach them. I don't mind. I like the sense of urgency of like trying to get to him before it hits zero. I kind of enjoy it.
It wasn't that annoying, but it was kind of annoying.
I now I'll ask you this though. So then would you prefer, like it's like you're kind of comparing apples to oranges if I ask you this question, but like if they came to you and they were like, Mark, instead of it doing it like this with Yoshi's Island where Mario floats away and you have a certain amount of time to catch him, would you prefer it if it was just a standard Mario game where Yoshi could get power-ups? And like, and it just because like, and that's like, and there's no wrong answer, but that's what I'm saying is I'm like, I've played Mario 1, Mario 3, Super Mario World. I've played a ton of these Mario games where I get power ups, and I do the classic Mario thing, and I think that's one of the things that I enjoy about this game is that at least they tried to change the formula a bit.
I Yeah, and it was really cool of them to do something different for this game. That
Yeah,
said, I do really like what they did with Yoshi's story. With Yoshi's story, it was you had a happiness meter. Every time you got hit by an enemy, it would go down. Every time you would eat a fruit, it would go up.
that's such a Yoshi thing.
It's very 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 basic, but I kind of liked it that way.
Hey, did you hear? Did you hear Yoshi died? Oh my God, what happened? Did he fall down a hole? He just got too sad.
No, he just got really sad. He died. Yeah.
Oh
That's what
yeah.
happened when Yoshi's die. Gets sad.
Yeah, that's what kills Yoshis. They
He
get
was
too
watching
sad.
Titanic, and I don't know. He just went. He just went.
Yeah. I like it. There's no power-ups. Like there are power-ups in the sense of like you can eat the watermelons. And I will say by and large I think the ice watermelon and the fire watermelon are useless. I hate those fucking watermelons. But
Because
the
you get
green
3
one,
shots. You get 3 shots,
yeah,
and
and they suck.
you get the ice one in the ice world, so it's kind of like, oh well, nothing's. This is kind. This is only good. This is not really that good against the enemies that are here.
Yeah, I don't like those two, but I will say the green watermelon that you eat and then you can just spit seeds, I'm a big fan. That thing can fuck
The
some people
monkey
up.
levels, yeah.
Yeah. That thing will fuck some people up. I like that. Um Outside of that though, like the only real power-ups are you can pick up stars throughout the game, and they're not like Mario Brothers stars that'll make you invincible. Each one's like a little walking, smiling dipshit star, and whenever you eat them, you add 1 second to your clock, up to 30 seconds that you can protect Mario. And then there's the other star you can get that is like the classic Mario star, and when you touch it, Yoshi actually goes into a giant egg, and baby Mario gets a cape and starts running around like he's invincible, and then he can use his diaper as like a parachute too, or his cape is. I think it's kids. I can't remember if it's his cape or his
I
diaper.
think it's his cape. It was
Yeah, I
his,
think
if
yeah,
it was
because if it was his
he'd
diaper,
be
that would
naked,
be
and you can't have that.
perverse. Yes, it's his
Yeah.
cape. But I actually I like that. I wish there was more segments like that in the games. I like those segments where you get to run around as invincible baby Mario. Um, I thought it would bother me more that there's not more power ups because that's one of my favorite things about most Mario games. But it doesn't bother me in this one. I think this game's designed well enough that you don't really need a lot of power ups.
Now, there are a few power ups where Yoshi will turn into a vehicle of some sort.
That's the one part of the game I fucking hate. Those
They're
fucking
always
vehicles.
It would be such a cool thing if it wasn't on such a strict time schedule. And if you
Ugh.
don't reach the place you need to be in time, you just watch Yoshi go all the way back to where he first got the power up. And sometimes you'll be right there. You'll be
Yeah.
right where you need to be, and then you'll run out of time. And then there's just this 20-second sequence where Yoshi flies all the way back to the beginning of the segment.
Yeah, it's the one part of the game I fucking hate. You can turn Yoshi into like there's a helicopter, there's basically like a mole tank. It's like a part mole, part tank that you can dig in the ground. You can turn into a train.
There's a submarine.
The submarine. And what I hate is that, like, especially if you're going for 100% in each level, which we'll explain a little bit more in a minute, then you need to go looking for coins and flowers and stuff because they're usually hidden in these areas. And that fucking helicopter in particular controls like a goddamn not. I mean, maybe it controls like a helicopter. I've never flown a helicopter, but if it does, I never want to fly in a fucking helicopter. I hate the way that fucking thing controls. and you're right. Basically, every time you transform into a vehicle, at some point, there's like a big Yoshi brick, like a big block with his face on it. And if you bump into that, then you transform back into Yoshi and you move on with the game. But if you can't get there before the timer runs out, like Mark said, it warps you all the way back and you have to jump into the thing and start again. And I will say, it's the one part of this game that I just genuinely don't enjoy is playing as any of the vehicles. I don't find any of them fun to play as.
Well, I like the concept of it so much because Yoshi turns into a helicopter. That should be a lot of fun. But it's the time limit on it that makes it unfun. If you had whole levels where you were playing as a helicopter and there wasn't a time limit to it, and it was just kind of and all of the puzzles were about how quick is your reaction time, that would be fun. But the puzzles as it is how quick can you find another helicopter power up, and if you don't get it fast enough, you have to fly back to the beginning of this section.
Yeah, I fucking hate
and you have to watch Yoshi flying back to the beginning of this section.
Yeah, that fucking like, and I'm just like, I fucking hate you, you fucking stupid dino. This is why you're extinct. I fucking hate you. Fuck. I hate those parts. Now, okay, so we got to pause for a word from a sponsor in a second here. But before, I'm just looking, everything else I have to say about this game, I think is basically good stuff. Is there anything else like really that you don't like that you want to poo-poo on? I want to.
I think I've gotten all my aggression out
All right. Then what
on
we'll
this
do is we'll
game.
pause here. We'll let a sponsor come in and say something, assuming I was able to trick someone into sponsoring the show, and then we'll talk about some of the good stuff about the game, the other good stuff about the game. So we'll be back in like I don't know, whenever the break is over. We'll be right back. Okay, so before the break, we were talking about the power ups and stuff like that. The one other aspect of this game is Yoshi himself. Is it him, her? Probably both. Whatever. Him.
I think
Whatever.
it's a him.
Yoshi, yeah, I'm going him. Yoshi's got some tools of the some tools in his toolbox that are pretty handy. He's got that classic Yoshi flutter jump, which I will say is a fucking godsend in this
That
game.
was introduced in this game. Kind of
Yeah,
all of Yoshi's classic moves were
like
introduced in this game.
yeah, so like you hold when you hold jump, and when he hits the top of his jump, he does that little like he's trying to fly, but he can't fly, and he almost sinks for half a second and then gets an extra little boost up. And some of the platforming in this game toward the end, especially, can get pretty tough, and that float's really handy. I'm a big
It's so
fan.
handy. It is
Yeah.
an absolute godsend.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that float mechanic. He's got his tongue. You can shoot it straight up or straight forward and eat most bad guys, not all, but most. What I like about this game is when you eat a bad guy, it's not like Super Mario World where you eat them and then that's, you digest them. In this one, you eat them and right away you poop them out as an egg. And you can tow up to 6 eggs behind you, and then you can throw them at any time. And as soon as you pick one up to throw it, this little like crosshairs thing shows up on the screen and starts bouncing up and down. And so you need to aim where you want to throw the egg. And so many portions of this game are based around throwing those eggs, be it fighting enemies or collecting secrets or opening other paths or stuff like that. And I really genuinely feel that outside of the platforming itself, that I think is very good, I really think the egg mechanic is the secret sauce of this game.
And it's kind of a existential fucked up horror if you think about it. Yoshi just eating a person and then immediately turning him into an egg.
And then whipping them at, sometimes what I assume is like their family and the other
Yeah,
enemies
right at their family.
right back at them.
Have you ever watched a kimono dragon eat another animal?
I don't think I've ever watched a kimono dragon eat another animal.
Kimono dragons are they're fascinating. Go on YouTube, watch a kimono dragon eating an animal, because it's amazing how quickly they can eat a whole animal. They're amazing creatures, and that's exactly what I think of when I'm playing this game. Just Yoshi just popping something into his mouth and instantly it's an egg.
Yeah.
Just imagine you're the guy. You're trying to stop Yoshi. The tongue comes towards you, it sticks to you, in you go, and you're instantly digested and turned into an egg that is then thrown at, like you said, your family.
Yeah. Now that said, though, that leads into the next thing I was going to bring up, because I just think the egg thing is a great, adds a lot of depth to the
I think
gameplay.
that should be a war crime. Really, I think that should be considered a war crime.
It's fucked, but. Another thing I was going to bring up that I really like about this game is I think the boss fights in this. I hate boss fights most of the time. I love the boss fights in this game. And the best boss fight in this game, for my money, is where you fight the frog, where Kamek shrinks you and the frog eats you, and you literally fight the frog in its stomach.
And you have to fight its stomach, yeah.
Yeah. So you're eating enemies that the frog is swallowing, turning them into eggs, and then throwing them at, like, I assume what is that dangly thing in the back of your throat?
The uvula, yeah.
Yeah. But then as you're fighting this frog, you're hitting this the bula, whatever, the uvula, whatever it's called. And there's an opening at the bottom of the stomach. And when you're done beating the boss, you actually go down that opening. The frog turns over on its back and looks dead. And then you pop out of the
bottom of the frog,
the bum. And then you're literally Yoshi. And most game, like when he wins, he's like smiling and looking at the camera, or like just smiling, like, grinning moroningly, as Homer would say. But when you come out of that frog, Yoshi is just staring at the camera with this, like, what the fuck look on his face.
Yoshi, what do you think you do to people?
Exactly. It's karma. It's awesome. I love that. Every time I fight that boss, I'm like, that's brilliant. That they made you go through exactly what you're doing to all of these enemies just once. It's good stuff. Um, seriously though, the
But
boss fights are pretty good
some
in this game.
fantastic boss fights in here.
Do you have a do you have a favorite or anything that
I mean,
stands out?
the last one is the best one in the
Oh,
game. Uh,
the yes, agreed.
yeah, and I'm sure we'll
Um,
get there when we're get talking about the end of the game. But oh my god, what a really what a last boss fight this is.
yeah,
Um,
well, fuck it, we'll talk about it. I don't give a fuck. Let's do it because I wanted to talk
yeah,
about some
yeah.
of the best boss fights.
Okay, so yeah,
So
the last boss fight is in two phases. Uh, it's Baby Bowser. Baby
and now,
Bowser.
just sorry, just to clarify, it is not Bowser Jr. It's I don't think. I think it's like how it's Baby Mario and Baby Luigi. It is Baby Bowser. I
Yeah,
just
I
wanted to
think
clarify that
that
because
was
I
the
fucking
point
hate
of
Bowser
it.
Jr.
This was
So
Bowser before he was grown and big and
yes,
King Bowser. This is Baby Bowser.
yeah,
And he starts the fight by throwing a tantrum and stomping Kamek to death. And you're the first phase is fine. You have to fight him by kind of ground pounding the ground next to him, and it makes the ground rise and it throws him up.
yeah. And you're fighting him like in his nursery, which is kind of cool
Yeah,
too. I thought that was pretty funny.
but
Um,
when you're done that, you kind of think, oh, okay, that was a pretty good final boss fight, I guess. But then it gives you this fight immediately after where you're now facing the background, and
yeah,
baby Yoshi has become this, or baby Bowser has become this giant monster. And now you have to throw eggs at this thing in the background. And it's
yeah,
kind of what the Super Nintendo was really good at doing near the end of its life, was utilizing the background as a playable part of the game.
sure. Because there are other parts in this game where like you'll see enemies in the background, like those big chomp chomp balls, and then they'll
You'll see
jump
them
toward the
jump
front of the
up and
screen.
then they'll come down on you. You see them jump
Yeah,
up in the background and then suddenly they're in the foreground.
what but what's cool is like every boss fight in this game, Kamek shows up and he like transforms a regular enemy into something different. Or in case the frog, he just shrinks Yoshi down and the frog eats Yoshi. But he comes back and he sprinkles Bowser with this powder and then or whatever his magic wand, whatever the fuck. And then Bowser becomes this giant Giga Bowser. And it's not just that you're facing him in the background, but it's like the sun is setting in like it's the sky is black and then it's getting like the sun's up near the bottom, like it's the sun is setting and he all you really see is like this silhouette of giant Bowser walking toward you. And like you said, Yoshi actually turns and is facing the background of the screen. And you have to whip eggs way off into the distance and line them up so that they'll like you really have to kind of play the geometry and let the eggs come down and hit Bowser in the head. Because if he gets too close, he just kills you and you have to start over. And this awesome, like intense music is playing. And I've said it before, it's honestly my favorite boss fight of all time. I love that fight.
Oh, really?
It
Of
just
all time?
all time. I hate to be fair, I hate like 90% of boss fights. But I love that fight. It's just so epic. It just feels so cool. Like it's all due respect to Super Mario World. The fight against Bowser in the clown car thing vehicle thing is shit compared to this Bowser fight.
Yeah,
It's
that
shit.
this one is better than that one for sure.
It's insane. It's fucking awesome. I love this boss fight. You fight giant Bowser. It's so awesome. And like just even the way they make Yoshi turn and he's facing off into the background and shit. I love it. I love that boss fight. That said though, I honestly don't think there's a boss fight in this game I don't enjoy.
There's one that I found annoying, and it was the gelatin one with the
The
heart
one
in the
where
middle that you had to get at.
the like the hairy jello blob
Yeah.
and you yeah, so he's got like a heart in the middle and you have to keep picking up eggs and throwing the eggs at him and every time you hit him it like pushes the jelly back and you need to get the deep enough to hit him in the heart.
But he's inching forwards and you have a very limited amount of space on this platform.
Yeah, so you need to be accurate with that one. You need to
And
be
I
accurate
think
with
that
your
that's a
eggs.
great idea for a boss fight. I just found it annoying because I sucked at it.
That's
And
fair.
that's going to be the theme of this episode. Anytime I bitch about the game is a time where I was like, well, but why did it have to be so hard?
I I love it. That's why I like you. Um I I don't know. I don't mind that fight. I like the frog fight just because I think it's funny that you get pooped out by the frog.
Yeah.
I really like the fight where you fight the giant ghost in the flower pot and the two shy guys. You're on like a platform with holes on either end, and there's two shy guys pushing this giant ghost in a flower pot toward you, and you
And
have
you
to
have
push
to
the flower
push it
pot.
off.
Yeah, you have to push it back toward them, and it's whichever side can push them off of the edge first. I think that's a really cool fight,
I really
even though it's
liked the
easy.
giant piranha plants as well.
Yes. Dude, the one that like this giant piranha plant that grows with like all these like little ones like coming, he looks like a fucking mutant plant and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks really cool. I like the one where you fight the that big chubby raven on like the moon and you have to ground pound those pillars through either side of the planet and like kind of hit him in the nuts as he's running
That was a good
around.
one. That one made me feel dizzy though, because you had to
Yeah.
run around so quick.
Yeah, it does. You have to move fast in that one. Yeah. I think the most iconic boss fight in this game, or maybe the most well known, maybe more infamous, maybe more than iconic, the most infamous boss fight in this game is right at the beginning where you fight that big fat guy, and every time you hit him with eggs, his pants fall down. And
Yeah.
then eventually his pants go down to his ankles and he just gets all blushing and shy and then loses. I think that's
Yeah.
a really cool fight too. I love
That's
them
so
all.
funny.
I love them all because it's not even just random enemies, but it's like an enemy you've been dealing with during that world. And then that's what they transform into like a boss at the end.
Yeah, and it always starts as a normal enemy, and something is done to twist it.
Yeah, I just think they're very clever. I think they're very well done. And I like that there's 2 per world. Like in each world, you do 3 levels and then a fortress and then 3 levels and then the final fortress.
Yes.
And I just I really enjoy the boss fights. I honestly don't think there's one I dislike. Yeah, I really don't think there's one I dislike. I like all of them. I just
And a
love
great amount of variety, because it feels unfair to compare this to Super Mario World 1, like Super Mario, we'll call it Super Mario World 1, even though it's the
Sure.
only Super Mario World, really. But when you look at the boss fights of that game, and at the beginning of this episode, I was like, I will not hear any arguments that this game is better in ways than Super Mario. But now that I'm thinking about it, the boss fights are way better, because
way better.
Super Mario World, all of the boss fights are just the Koopa kids.
Yeah.
In one of 3 or 4 situations. They're on a
Yeah,
boat.
I love those kids, but they get done dirty every time they show up.
Yeah.
They get done dirty. I don't really want to get into all the individual levels because there's a lot of levels to go
There's
over.
48.
I do think the levels are well done. Dude, one thing I noticed is the levels are big. Like some of them, if you're exploring and going for the 100%, some of these are big fucking levels. They're not linear at all. Like there's a lot of exploration to some of them.
They did really cram a lot of game into this game.
Yeah, they did. Huge. Some of these levels are fucking huge, especially when you go underground in the caves and stuff. Some of the levels are fucking huge.
Those cave mazes. Oh my god.
Oh, a couple of them started to irritate me a little bit.
It took me a while to get through one of the ones at the end.
Yeah, one of the very last ones.
Where you're just picking away at how am I supposed to get through this. And then, but when you finally figure it out, it is this really cool eureka moment. And you just have that moment of, oh man, that is a really good puzzle.
Totally. Yeah, agreed. But like, and then to add to the difficulty of this game, if you want to, you can go for a perfect score of 100 in each level. Because at the end of the level, you get a score out of 100. And your score is made up of the amount of time on your Mario crying timer, which is out of 30. And remember, it defaults counts back up to 10, but you can fill it to 30. And that's what, to me, what really makes 100%ing every level in the game difficult is trying to end the level with your score at 30. Like, toward the end of the game, you can start piling up some power-ups, and you get those plus 10 stars and plus 20 stars on your clock item, and then that basically wipes out the challenge of it. But until you've got some of those stockpiled, it can be tough to finish some levels with a 30 timer. Because you can find all the collectibles and then accidentally run into an enemy right at the end of the level and lose 2 seconds off your timer, and there goes your perfect score. I got fucked so many times that way. Fuck. So many fucking times. God damn it.
I didn't even try to 100% this game. I was just getting through it.
I get it. I intended to 100% the whole game and then ran out of time, but I am going to go back and try. I'm close. If you want 100% it, you don't just have to finish each level with a full 30 on your timer, but you need to find 20 red coins, which you can tell the difference, but you have to look. Like they look pretty similar to gold coins, but then when you pick them up, they're red instead. And you have to find 20 of those. and then there's 5 flowers in a level, and each flower is worth 10 points. So five flowers are worth 50 points, 20 coins are worth a point each for 70, and then 30 on your meter is worth a point each, and that makes 100.
I gotta say, I
And
did
that adds
100% a single level in this.
oh really? I
No,
went
not a single one.
I went deep on it this time, but I've always wanted to, because when you 100% all 8 levels in a world, you get access to a 9th bonus level, which is really tough, and you get access to one of those end of level mini games that you can play anytime you want. And so I think the second world, you unlock one where you can get items, and now you can start stockpiling items to go after the 100% run.
Okay.
Yeah. And on that note, I wanted to talk about those mini games. I really like that system. When you beat the level, there's that roulette wheel, and
And
it's
I
go
can
ahead.
see where it's positioning itself as a spiritual sequel to Super Mario World.
Oh yeah,
Because
totally.
yeah, you get to the end of the level and there's the roulette wheel that's kind of similar to the tape at the end of Super Mario World, and there are the mini games that you can play for one-ups, just like the tic-tac-toe in Super Mario World. You can kind of see, if you squint, where they can kind of get away with calling this a sequel to Super Mario World,
Totally.
but still, I'm still kind of like, no, fuck that.
Yeah, I still refer to it as Yoshi's Island, not
It's
the
Yoshi's
sequel
Island,
to Super
yes.
Mario World.
There
Um
are elements of Super Mario World in this game for
yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
Yoshi's Island.
Yeah. So agreed. At the end of each level, there's a roulette wheel of like 10 dots, and 5 of them can transform into flowers. So each of the 5 flowers you found in the level turns one of these 5 transformable dots into a flower. So if you find all 5 flowers, then it's 5 dots and 5 flowers. And it spins around, and if it stops on a dot, nothing happens. You move on to the next level. If it stops on a flower, you get to play a mini game. And the mini games can be for extra lives, it can be for items that you can use in the levels, a little bit of both. And I really like that system. Like, especially as a kid, when I would play this game, at the end of every level, I would watch that roulette wheel fucking intently and just be like, come on. And then every time it missed, it just does that like boom. And you just move on to the next level. And it just was like, fuck me, I guess. I like that. Oh, I also like that every time you beat the level, you jump through that roulette wheel, and whatever Yoshi you're controlling just lobs Mario up in the air, and then the next Yoshi comes running in from the side of the screen and catches him right at the last second. Like,
Yeah,
I always thought that was a cool little
it's a cool
animation.
like handoff.
Yeah, I quite like that. It's like throwing the baton to each other, except it's an infant child or infant human. But I really like that system of playing those bonus levels at the end, and you can get a shit ton of lives, dude. When I finished this game, I think I had 147 lives.
Oh really? I game overed so much in this game.
Oh,
I saw
it's
that
probably
game
me.
over screen so many times because I wasn't going for all of the flowers.
Absolutely, yeah. When you go for that 100%, dude, you play so many of the like one up mini games, and there's one that you start playing in the second half of the game that's like a roulette, and you can pick how many lives you want to wager of your own. And so say you wager like 20 lives, and then you hit start, and then there's 2 spinning wheels, and one wheel stops on either plus or times, and then the other wheel stops on a number 0, 1, or 2. And so if you gamble like 20 lives and get times 2, then you just won 40 lives.
Oh,
Like,
nice.
you can, and then when just collecting all the coins, trying to find the 20 red coins, you pick up a lot of lives in this game.
Wait, that one life was 40 lives? That's
Yeah. 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 It's ridiculous. But I like it. I love it. I mean, like, I just want to make sure I make it clear. Like, when I say it's challenging, we're not saying this is like Celeste or some shit. But which, by the way, is the hardest platformer ever made.
the thing about Celeste though is it has constant checkpoints.
It's brilliant.
And that's
Celeste
what
is a
I
perfect video
appreciate
game.
about a difficult game like Celeste, where it's hard, but it doesn't make you repeat shit that you've
No.
already done. What
No.
frustrates me about platformers like this is you'll die, and if you die enough, you'll game over, and you have to go back to the beginning of the level and do all of the stuff that you already showed the game. No, I can do this part.
Yeah, that's just like, I
So
think that's just
the live system for me in video games it seems incredibly antiquated, and I was very surprised to see it come back in Super Mario Wonder, because it goes back to when you used to have to play video games by putting quarters into a machine, whereas it's not really how we play video games anymore. So anytime you see a modern game that still has a life system, it's kind of like, well, this is
Yeah,
very weird.
I do agree with that. Like, I'm not going to dunk on Yoshi's Island for it because this is still from the era where
This is
lives were
still from
the
the era
norm.
where games had
But
lives.
I do agree. I think in today's era, like lives are kind of. I will say though, I if I have to choose between a game with lives or a game with timers in your fucking levels, give me lives. I fucking hate timers.
Big improvement that this game had is that there was no timers.
Totally. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, just how big the lives are. I think they're trying to get you to explore more.
They want to give you the time to properly explore the levels.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this game would be impossible to 100% if you had fucking timers, because some of these levels take forever to go through and find everything. Like, some of them aren't very long, but some of them are pretty fucking long. And if you had a timer, it would ruin everything. I fucking hate that. I fucking
So
hate
many
timers.
times I'd be going through a level and you'd be thinking this must be getting close to the end. And then you'd get to a checkpoint and you go, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, I will say that's one of the other things that's cool about the 100% run is you kind of get a ballpark. Like, if I bring up my pause menu and I have 2 of 5 stars and 8 of 20 coins, I'm like, I'm not even close. But if I'm like, I'm missing 2 coins and 1 flower, I'm like, I'm probably pretty close to the end.
Yeah.
Like, it almost gives you a sense. Because you're right. There are some levels where you think you've beaten it like twice and it just keeps fucking going. And sometimes
It won't let me stop.
Sometimes it's pretty lenient with those star rings, like your checkpoints. And sometimes it's like, fuck you, we'll give you one when we're ready. Get good. Like, it can be pretty vicious sometimes. So, I'm trying to think. So we talked about 100%ing levels. We talked about the bosses. We talked about the eggs. We talked about the mini games. I don't want to break down all the levels specifically because I think there's a lot to talk about. But I know we'll hear about it if we don't quickly bring up Touch Fuzzy Get Dizzy.
Okay.
Like that. If you've never played this game, there's a level in World 1, Touch Fuzzy Get Dizzy, where about halfway through the level, these white orbs with faces on them and like a little bit of hair sticking out of them, they're pretty big and they just start floating casually across the screen. And if you touch one, Yoshi drops acid, I think
that's what it's supposed to be, and these things show up later in the game as well, and
they're a lot harder later in the game.
It makes the game a lot more difficult
It
because
sure does.
platforms are all bending, and this is the precursor to Mario Wonder in some ways.
Oh yeah, that sure is. It's like, if you've never played it, when you touch one of these get dizzy things, like the whole level, like put your 2 hands, like interlace your fingers with your 2 hands, like pointing toward each other, and just start like moving them up and down like a wave. Like the whole level just starts doing that, and you can't even just stand still and let it pass because Yoshi just starts stumbling around like a drunk, falling on these fucking platforms, and his eyes, like his pupils get all tiny and they get like these bright colors all around them. And it's like, they actually, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong here, I think they removed that level from the port, the handheld port, the GBA port.
Really?
I'm gonna double check that as we're talking. I rarely do this because I want to say they eliminated it because it's like, there's literally no way you can't assume that like he took some like
Yoshi's on acid.
yeah. Touch Fuzzy Get Dizzy removed. I want to say they removed it
because it was definitely on the Switch port.
Yeah, it does look like they changed it at least.
Interesting. Now, I've never played the GBA version. Have you?
I have not either. No, I have not either.
Or the sequel. There was a Game Boy sequel, wasn't there?
Not that I'm aware of. I only know of the port. Oh, it says here, it's a shame that Touch Fuzzy Get Dizzy had to be destroyed in the move to portable. I don't know if it was removed because they thought it was a bad influence or if the GBA just couldn't handle it. I don't know. But it's too bad because it is easily like the most well-known level from the game. I love that level. Like when I was a kid, I would track those bubbles down on purpose just to like trip balls on them because I wasn't allowed to do drugs when I was a kid. So now
As a
it's
kid, your
different.
parents were so strict. No acid until you're 8.
Oh fuck, fucking parents, man.
Can
Ah
I
man.
be a booze hound?
I'm just looking here. Sequels. Uh, Following Yoshi's Island success, Nintendo developed Yoshi's Story, the 64 game, which disappointed audiences and deflated massive anticipation. Aw.
Well, that's what I was saying, and I liked that game when I was a kid because I never played Yoshi's Island. I didn't
Yeah.
know that because Yoshi's Story is such a little game,
And then
and
they
you'd
made a
think
couple of
on a
spin-off.
bigger you'd think that on a more powerful hardware they would have made a bigger game, but they made it seem like this is kind of a game they pumped out for Christmas.
Yeah. No, for sure. It says here, yeah, Yoshi's Island DS, known in Japan as Yoshi's Island DS. Oh, known in Japan as Yoshi Island DS, is a platform video game, and it was a sequel to the 1995 SNES game. Well, I'll be damned. I did not know about it. I'll have to play this fucking game. I didn't know this existed.
Yeah.
I'll have to look
I
this. I
remember
wonder if it's.
reading something about it.
I bet you
Obviously,
it's
we
easier.
have all of the Yoshi games that followed, but I remember reading somewhere that there was a direct sequel somewhere.
Yeah, I'll have to look this one up. I did not know this existed. Son of a bitch. I'll have to check this out because I love this game. The original. Like I could play this game. Replaying it this past week to get ready for this episode, I was like, when I think of Super Nintendo platformers, I think Super Mario World, I think the Donkey Kong Country games, I think Bubsy because Bubsy's awesome. Fuck you, haters.
What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? Fuck, he's such a stupid character. But I never think of Yoshi's Island, and that's a real shame because like this game, this is if you were ranking all the Super Nintendo games ever made, if this isn't a top 10 Super Nintendo game, it's a top 20 for sure. And top 20 might not sound all that impressive, but if you're aware of just how deep the Super Nintendo's library is, if you can crack the top 20, that's a pretty fucking good lineup, man.
Until the Switch, it was the best. It was the hardware with the best catalog easily.
Agreed. Yeah, no question. I agree. I've said it many times, Super Nintendo's my favorite system. I think the Switch has replaced it because I can play so many of my favorite Super Nintendo games on the Switch anywhere I want, plus all the other games. But prior to the Switch, the Super Nintendo was my favorite system ever.
Yeah.
So, and this game is a big part of it. I got this game for my birthday when I was a kid, and I remember playing this game fucking religiously and just loving it. And replaying it now, man.
Never got it. My parents wouldn't buy it for me.
Oh, man. Well, it's probably because you liked Mario's Missing, and even your parents knew how fucked up that was.
It was because of the ad. It was because of the terrible commercial for this game.
If you haven't seen it and you're listening to this, just bring out your phone and just Google the Yoshi's Island commercial. You'll find it. Big fat guy eats till he explodes.
And it has nothing to do with the game. My parents, because my parents saw the commercial and they went, well, this game must be disgusting then, when the commercial doesn't even remotely match the game. Other than, I guess, Yoshi
eats lots. Yeah, Yoshi
really
eats
the
lots.
only similar, but he doesn't eat to the point where he explodes.
Now, you're right. Like, in hindsight, it would have been more tied into Yoshi's Island if the guy had eaten until his pants fell down and he ran off ashamed like that boss.
Yeah.
But then I feel like Nintendo would have gotten in even more trouble. So I don't know what the play was here.
The commercial, actually, enough people complained about the commercial that they had to edit it.
I love it, but I loved gross shit back then. It was a pretty gross commercial, though. Look it up. It's such I remember that commercial like clear as day. Like,
and I'm just mostly mad that this commercial kept me from getting this game because I loved Yoshi. I was a huge Yoshi fan. I found out Yoshi had his own full video game. I was like, oh my god, I would love that game. My parents were no, that commercial's disgusting. This game must be disgusting.
The very end, he eats like one last like fingertip of whipped cream, and then that's when he explodes.
That's the thing that does it.
Yeah, that last bite. Are you good? We've been going for an hour. I'm good. You good?
I don't know if I have anything else to say about it. Great game.
Great fucking game. I know it's a lame. I know normally I go for like some stupid wonky scoring system, but it just feels like you can get a perfect score of 100 in each level. It just feels like a 100 score.
Okay.
So that's what we're gonna do. So Mark, out of 100, what are you gonna give Yoshi's Island? Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island.
I give it a 90.
That's a very good score.
It's a very good score. The concept of the baby annoys me a little bit, so few points off for that.
Fair. I'm gonna go. Fuck, I'm gonna go like 95. Like the only thing I don't like is those stupid vehicle parts. And
Yeah,
fortunately, they're not like not something you do in every level. Like there's probably only a dozen of them in the game. Thank fuck. I'm gonna go 95. I love this game. Fuck me. Like I play Super Mario World every year. I think I'm gonna start doing a more, maybe not an annual playthrough, but I'm gonna start playing through this one more often because it's a
I
really
would
fun
say that
game.
Mario World is still more replayable.
I definitely look at Mario World as more comfort food. This one I gotta pay attention a little more. Mario World I can
Yeah.
like close my eyes.
Mario
But
World, yeah, we play it often enough. We did it a few weeks ago. You can
yeah,
kind of play it in one sitting.
yeah. But this is a really good fucking. I can't remember if I've ever done an expansion pass where I rank my favorite platformers. I'll have to look. If I haven't, I'll do that. This would make my list of my favorite platformers. This is a
Doing
great
it
game.
long enough that you're just I don't know what I've done.
I don't even know anymore. I don't even. People ask me that. They're like, "Have you covered this?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Probably. I've talked about everything." All right. We got our scores. We got everything done. Mark, I know I talk to you every single week on Purple Monkey Dishwasher, which is available at patreon.com/remember the game, but not everybody listens to Purple Monkey Dishwasher at patreon.com/remember the game. So if they're not listening to that over there, what are you up to these days? I think you've got something big coming up.
I do. This February, first 2 weeks of February, if you're somebody who goes, gee, I like the way Mark's voice sounds, I wish that I could see him perform in a musical. Well, boy golly, do I have some good news for you. Uh,
Boy, golly.
I'm going to be performing in a production of Fiddler on the Roof that's going up here in Calgary the first 2 weeks of February at Le Site de Rocher Theater. I probably pronounced that very wrong. It's tickets available now at paintedfish.ca.
Excellent. And assuming Mark sends it to me, I will put that link in the. I know you sent it to me once before, but I don't think I have it.
I'll send it again. Yeah.
Yeah, send me that. I'll put it in the description of this podcast. If you are in the old Calgary area,
And if
go
you're like,
by
well,
and
Mark,
check out.
what are you doing? Are you just in the background? No, I'm playing Model the Tailor in Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah,
And if you go, man, that's not enough to get me out there. Anybody who's listened to Purple Monkey Dishwasher may be familiar with my partner, Linnea, who is kind of the background audience
yeah,
member of every episode of Purple Monkey Dishwasher. She's also going to be in it. So
yeah.
you get a 2-for-1 deal. You're getting me, you're getting Linnea, you're getting Fiddler on the Roof. Tickets available, paintedfish.ca.
Fucking do it. Fucking do it. Mark, thanks for doing this. It was nice. It's weird. It's weird having you back on Remember the Game now. I'm so used to you being the Purple Monkey Dishwasher guy.
Man,
But
I gotta say, I like I'm glad to be on this show. And here's the thing: I love doing Purple Monkey Dishwasher, but I feel more people listen to this show,
oh
and
yeah.
because I'm an egomaniac, I like when people are listening to my voice. So anytime you want me to come on and do the show that more people listen to, I am open.
Well, then you know what? We'll let's book it in again in 4 weeks when we're gonna cover the last game of 2023. And I'm not gonna tell all you what it is. You'll have to come back in 4 weeks. But I promise you, it's gonna be a good one. It's a big game.
It's a really good one, yeah.
I mean, the podcast might suck. Most of my podcasts suck, but the game is fucking great. So we'll do that in 4 weeks. Mark, thanks for doing this, buddy. Appreciate it.
Always.
And that is going to do it for this week's episode. Mark, thank you so much for giving me a call and talking Yoshi's Island to every single one of you nerds listening to this. Whether this was your first Remember the Game or your 275th. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate it more than you'll know. Don't forget to look in the description of this podcast to find the link to paintedfish.ca where you can pick up tickets to Mark's show. Tell them that Remember the Game sent you. And I think you'll get a free sandwich, but there's an asterisk on that because I don't actually think they give out free sandwiches. But go see Mark. He's a gem, and he deserves your love and support. And while you're on the internet buying tickets to his show or whatever the fuck, maybe consider leaving us a nice review, would you? I'm not sure what they accomplished, but the other shows ask for them, so I'm going to do the same. And if you want more of these, patreon.com/rememberthegame. I plugged it more in blowing in the cartridge than I normally would, so I'm going to go quick. $3 a month, get you hundreds of podcasts. It's the best deal, plus other stuff. Best deal in the history of the internet. Patreon.com/rememberthegame. I'm also over on Twitch playing through the Mario RPG remake right now at twitch.tv/rememberthegame. So hit me with a follow. It'll tell you when I'm online. You can go by, see my stupid face. I have a P.O. box. You can find it at rememberthegamepodcast.com. Send me a letter or something. I'll send you one back and we'll be friends. I'm on Cameo. Just look for Adam Blank over there. If you want me to send a message to one of your friends or your family or just yell at someone, I'm happy to do all of that. And Molly, we got anything else to plug? No, I think that's enough. I'm going to thank some patrons and get out of here. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. I will be back tomorrow for our patrons with with Expansion Pass 188, the games that changed gaming. And we'll be back next week with Remember the Game 276, Pokemon trading card game. Hopefully, assuming we get it recorded between now and then, but we should. Should be a good episode. Thanks a lot, everybody. Talk to y'all on the next one. Cheers, so long, goodbye. Remember the Game is brought to you by our Patreons. I could not puke up all the content I turn out every week without all of your support. The following people are the senior executive vice president level or higher. Higher! At patreon.com/rememberthegame. And as such, I am contractually obligated to thank them as quickly as possible. So in alphabetical order, a huge thank you to a dude named Adam, A.B. Killen, Aaron Lawson, Adam Blank still hasn't reviewed D's Nuts Galaxy, Adam Blank still hasn't reviewed Mario Galaxy, Adam Galaxy still hasn't reviewed Mario Blank, Adam Martinet, Adam's new personal assistant, On My Foot, AJ McCurgy, Alex McIntyre, Alex R., Alex Ramos, Alexander Camps, Andre, Andrew Wright, Andy Hudson, Angry Ticks, Archangel Otaku, A-Town, Atrio Wormwood, Austin from Past to Present Player Podcast, The Ballsack Teabagger, Bearded Bastard, Beaver Boy, Beef Dingleberry, Beers of War, Benjamin Atkins, Big Daddy Randall, Big the Cat, Billy and the Clonosaurus, Biddy, Because19, Blame the Hoagie Man, Blobby Rogers, B Money, Bobby Litton, Brandon DeZeba, Brian Richmond, Bula, Burt Macklin, Buy Me Bone Storm, or go to hell, C-Spin, Cam Nelly 23, Can't Destroy Her, Captain N, Captain Steve N, Carbon Fiber Zombie, Cardigan Measures Wrestler, Cesar, Chaz Hammond, Chevy Boy 9211, Chicken Gizzards, Chris Fleury, Chris Williams, Chris Hill, Christian Gabriel, Christopher Britt, Chugger22, Clockwork Orange These Nuts, Cody Richardson, Cody Thompson, Colin Bollinger, Dan Fusselman, Dan of DNA Gaming, Daniel, Darth Skywalter, Dave McGee, Dave Thompson, David Schroeder, DBXJ, Decoy Men, Dem Boys on the Roof, Diablo Spartan, Digital Dave, Donnie the Dude, Walter, Doogie, Doug Dorn, Drugs Are Bad, MK, Earl, Elephant Calves, Elijah Burns, E-Man Trucker, Eric James, Eric Hopewell, Fallen Snow Kiku, Faded Sufferance, Flinny123, Franklin Badge, Fraser Burns, Frosty Bear, Frosty Feet 492, Fuzzy 99, General Fury, G9PSX, Gabe, Glue Scappin, Graham Kennedy, Guy Who Does Things, Hagel Waffle, High Plains Drifter, Hired Goons, Who, Hitchy Poo, Holmes. I cancel my Netflix to afford this shout out. I like that. Itchy Nutsaru, Isaias, It's That Nerd James, Jameer Williams, James Clark, James Juan Francesco, Jeff Bergeron, Jimothy, Jay Callahan, Joe Buck, Joe the Sandman, John M. Watkins, John Woodruff, Johnny from Virginia, Johnny Zubu 81, John of the Adult Children Podcast, Jordan, Juris Dr. Mario, Just a Fish, Just Car Pranks, Justin Blair, Kayach, Kevin Monroe, Kia Pup, Laces Out Dan, Leroy Westrich, Level Up Retro, Lil Bunny Fufu 89, Liquor Like Luigi, Lord Wrongrod, Von Hugingdon II, Lord Stay Puffed, Lotus, Lucas Valadez, Madame Nutish, I still don't know how to fucking say that. Makeshift Mallow Magic Money, Marcus Mendoza, Mario Galaxy still hasn't reviewed Adam Blank, Mark Sneed, Matt Babanu, Matt Zeus, Maverick Marty, Max Lagroom, Max Sandin, Mega Mav, Mellow Yellow 8787, Mercury 869, Mike Maloney, Mizuru, Morgan, Mr. Papa Giorgio, Musty Beetle, Nathan Tremblay, Neil Cooper, Nerdy Hybrid, Nick Amos, Nick Creature, Nicola, No One Cares, Nothing Can Possibly Go Wrong, Oroku Saki's Gardner, Phil Lencher, Philip Ramsey, Fill Up My Mouth With Farts, Plow King, Postman, Quiet Place Queen, Radioactive Man, Raging Irish, Randy Barrett, Rated X, Illint, Robbie Air, Roger Stallbox, Pool Cleaner, Rush's Dog Walker, Ryan Kinchin, Ryan Perry, Ryan Whitcomb, S, Sabin, Sam Carpenter, Scary Terry, Scott Brooks, Shoeboxers, Sharonic, Scissor Fist, Sleeper Hit, Slick Rick, Solomon Soto, Sour Goatface, Squeaknut, Squint, Steve Dulk, Storm Beagle, Stud Steel Smash, Ted Explosion, Test Tickle, I get it. The Big Deal, The Keegs, The Fletchman, Theodore, The Supreme, Chosorizo, This MF, Thomas Childs, Thomas Smith, Timmy the Exuberant Turtle, Timothy Sabrinsky, Titan 420, Tom Houlihan, Tornado, Triple, Tunable Power, Tyler Bauer, VOS Rager, Works For Me, West Gen, Wheel of Fish, Wilco, 15, Wolfgang, Darren, Wolf Magic 21, Wyatt the Surgeon who's not a surgeon, Row, Maverick, it's X Maverick X, Youngster, TK, Zach Shepard, Zamato, Zane Donovan, and Zonko 504. That went pretty good. That was not a bad batch of shout-outs at all. Thank you all so much. You're all my heroes, except one of you, and you know who you are. Talk to you all in the next one, everybody. Cheers.